You don't have a visibility problem. Most entrepreneurs don't. But what I think you might have is a conversation problem, because I'm uncovering that most entrepreneurs do. Now listen, we talked about this last week on my channel, and today I'm expanding on it to show you how to take relationship marketing deeper. There are 4 specific types of conversations that can attract clients organically. No ads, no going viral, thank goodness, and not being online around the clock. In my opinion, this is key to doing business in 2026. So recently I made the case that most entrepreneurs, just like I mentioned, don't have a visibility problem. They have a conversation problem. And I walked you through my framework. Content creates visibility. Visibility creates conversations. Conversations create opportunities, and opportunities create clients. Clients create referrals, and referrals create more visibility. We are creating a flywheel that just keeps spinning, starting with the content, working around to getting the visibility and the conversations and the opportunities and the referrals, and it just keeps going. So today, we're going to dive in deeper, because here's what happens when you hear a big framework. Because I know this happens to me. You think, okay, sure, yeah, that makes sense. And then you go back to your day and nothing changes because you didn't have the specific actions to take, right? And listen, I'm talking to myself here. So that ends today for all of us. The relationship revenue engine that I'm going to talk about runs on 4 kinds of conversations. Not all conversations are created equal. And when I mapped out what was actually happening, every time one of my coaching clients signed a new client, the same pattern kept showing up. Most entrepreneurs are trying to grow their business with only one cylinder firing. Today, we're going to turn all 4 cylinders on. All right, so before we get into the 4 conversations, here's the shift I want you to make. Most people think the path to client looks like this. Post content, get a client. Post content, get a client. Clean, simple, and listen, that's how it used to work back in 2020 to about 2023. But that's not how it works this year in 2026, my friends. Here's what's actually happening every time somebody becomes a client this year. Your content gave you visibility. That visibility gave you a conversation, either in the inbox or in the DMs, or maybe in networking, or maybe being on a podcast. Conversations build relationships. Those relationships are what create the opportunities, and the opportunities create the clients. This is what I call the relationship revenue engine. And once you really understand it and it clicks for you, you stop obsessing over your follower count. Thank you, Jesus, for that. And you start focusing on the thing that actually moves your business forward, which is conversations. And when all 4 conversations are happening consistently, the engine starts creating opportunities almost automatically. When even one of them is missing, that's when the engine starts to slow down and sputter like a lawnmower out of gas. I think I'm talking about our own lawnmower. Anyway, all right, so let's talk about the 4 types. Client conversation number 1. Connection conversations. Connection conversations are with people you've never met. Networking, DMs, engaging in online communities, showing up in Facebook groups, and actually talking to people. Not lurking, not just liking posts, but genuinely connecting. The goal is not to sell. The goal is simply to connect, to be visible. And you know, because of this strategy I teach regarding having your personal profile dialed in for list growth, for when you're visible in Facebook groups and serving, people are going to get curious about you. They're going to click on your profile. They're going to slide right down your email list growth funnel where you can then have a conversation. I had a student in my mastermind who realized she had people sitting in her Facebook friend requests, real people who had reached out to connect with her that she never responded to. She was so focused on creating content and turning cartwheels, trying to attract more cold traffic, that she was literally ignoring people who were trying to get into her world. So I gave her one assignment: reach out to 5 of them. Real messages, no pitch, just thanks for sending me a friend request. I saw we had a lot in common. I'd love to know more about your work. By the end of the week, she had coffee chats scheduled and a collaboration opportunity in progress. That is a connection conversation. So what happens if you never have this conversation? No new people, no new opportunities, no fresh people in your pipeline. Your business becomes a desert because it just dries up. So the question this week is, that I want you to ask yourself is, who did I meet this week that I could have had a conversation with? All right, conversation number 2, collaboration conversations. Collaboration conversations are about borrowing trust and visibility from somebody else's audience, which is really, really cool in my opinion. I'm talking about podcast interviews, joint workshops, speaking opportunities, referral partnerships. When someone whose audience already trusts them introduces you, that trust transfers. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting with credibility. They have literally said to their audience, that you are to be trusted and listened to. It doesn't get much better than that. I've been guesting on podcasts and speaking at virtual events for years. And I can tell you, some of the best clients I ever had found me through somebody else's stage, not my own. One summit appearance led to a DM that turned into a year-long relationship. I wasn't even pitching. I was just teaching in front of the right audience, introduced by someone they already trusted. And here's the part I love the most about collaboration. It lives on. An episode that I recorded over a year ago is still bringing people into my world today. That is evergreen visibility, and it didn't cost me an ad budget. All it cost me was some time to have a conversation and a good presentation. What happens if you never have this kind of conversation? You never borrow anyone else's trust. You never get in front of an audience already primed to love what you teach. Everything depends on your reach forever. So let's not do that, my friend. Your question to answer this week is, who can introduce me to people I don't already know? All right, client conversation number 3, nurture conversations. And this is the most underused conversation type that I see. And I think it's because it feels too simple to actually work. Nurture conversations are with people already in your world. Think about your past clients, your current clients, email subscribers you haven't heard from in a while, someone you connected with at a summit a month ago and never followed up with, a collaborator you worked with last year who went quiet. The next client you sign is probably already in your world and someone that already knows you and trusts you. I've watched it happen with my coaching clients over and over. The next client is almost never a stranger. It's someone who already knows them, who's been watching, thinking about reaching out, meaning to ask, who just needed them to show up first. One of my clients reached back out to people she'd lost touch with, just sending a few simple messages. Hey, I was thinking about you. How are things going with your business? No pitch, no agenda, just genuine. Now she has calls booked on her calendar, and the exciting part is that these calls could turn into a sale or a collaboration or a referral partner. We just never know. A nurture conversation takes minutes, and it might be the highest return of your minutes in your entire week. So what happens if you never have this kind of conversation? Your warm leads grow cold. People assume that you're busy, you're unavailable, or maybe you've moved on. They don't know how to reach out because you never reminded them that you're still here. We cannot let this happen. So I want you to answer this question this week. Who haven't I checked in with lately? All right, coming in at conversation number 4, opportunity conversations. And here's the one that most entrepreneurs avoid like the plague. Opportunity conversations are where an actual invitation gets made. A curiosity call, a collaboration proposal, a referral request, an offer. And I see this pattern constantly. Entrepreneurs do all the connecting, all the collaborating, all the nurturing, and then freeze when it's time to extend the invitation because they're afraid of coming across as pushy and salesy because they don't want it to feel like they only reached out because they want something. Now, I coached a client through this recently. She had a warm lead, someone she'd been nurturing for months who'd been watching her content, commenting on her posts, engaging with her emails. My client kept waiting for this person to reach out, and I finally said, she's waiting for you to invite her. And so she did. She sent a simple message that said something like, based on everything you've shared with me, I really think I could help you with this. Would you be open to a quick call to explore it? Easy. That one message can easily turn into a client. Here's the reframe I want you to think about. An opportunity conversation is an act of service, not a sales pitch. If you have something, and I want you to hear me when I say this, if you have something that could genuinely help someone and you stay quiet about it, that is not polite. That is not polite. That is leaving them without a solution they actually need. And we don't want that. So what happens if you never have this kind of conversation? People can't hire you because you never invited them. They might want to work with you. They're just waiting for you to ask. And if you never ask, they move on to your competition. Oh, we don't want that because your competition took the time to reach out to them. So the question for this is, who already knows me and might need my help right now? Now, before I give you the weekly system that I want you to follow, I want you to notice something. None of these conversations require another lead magnet. Amen for that. None of them require a Facebook ads budget. That's amazing. None of them require you to post 7 days a week. Oh, thank goodness. None of them require you to go viral. And listen, don't get me started on my soapbox about people wanting to go viral. That's another podcast for another time. Every single one of them starts with a conversation. That's it. That's the whole system. Simple, easy, repeatable, and fun. So here's how you put this into practice without adding another exhausting thing to your week. Because I've seen your plate and I know how full it is, my friend. I see how many tabs you have open. Every week, I want you to do 3 things. I want you to meet 5 new people, nurture 5 existing relationships, and invite 1 person to a next step with you. Meet 5 new people, nurture 5 existing relationships, and invite 1 person to a next step. That's it. Meet 5, nurture 5, invite 1. And y'all know math is not my love language, but I'm going to do some here because that's how much you mean to me. I want you to see how this work compounds. In 1 month, you will have had 20 new connections, 20 nurture touches, and 4 invitations. That's a lot. In 1 quarter, 60 new connections, 60 nurture touches, 12 invitations. And you can't tell me that activity, that amount of activity won't move a business. You can't make me believe it. Because this is exactly what made me so successful in my corporate sales career and won many awards for me. Focusing on the humans, making connections, and having the conversations. And the best part, you don't need to add hours to your week to do it because you're probably already in some of these conversations. This system just makes them intentional. No content calendar required, no new platforms, no ads, just consistent, intentional relationship building week after week. And doesn't that sound like a lot more fun anyway? Connecting with other warm, kind human beings to make a genuine connection that can help both of you. To me, that sounds like the best way to do business and to grow. Now, 1 mindset shift before we close this thing out. If you remember only 1 sentence from today's episode, let it be this. Don't count impressions. Count conversations. Don't count impressions. Count conversations. I don't care what the algorithm is doing. The people in charge of the algorithm don't even know what the algorithm is doing. I don't care about going viral. It's fun. It's a dopamine hit. It makes you feel good for 15 minutes, and then it's over. I care about conversations and tracking those, and I want you to get in the habit of doing that too. The whole purpose of even being online in the first place is to get people offline into a conversation, either in our inbox or in the DMs or in person. So track this. How many new people did you connect with this week? How many people did you check in with? How many invitations did you extend? A post with 10,000 impressions and 0 conversations is not going to move your business forward. But 5 genuine, intentional DMs this week, that absolutely can. Conversations are where trust is built, and trust is where clients are made. And in this year of 2026, trust is needed to convert people into buyers faster. So before you close this out, I want 1 name to come to mind. Just 1. Who needs to hear from you this week? Maybe it's someone who downloaded your freebie a few months ago. Maybe it's a past client you haven't talked to in a while, and you know what? They might need a tune-up and want to hire you again. Maybe it's someone sitting in your DMs who reached out and you never replied. Maybe it's someone you've been meaning to invite to a coffee chat for the last 3 months. Maybe it's your mom. I don't know. Listen, I know you came up with 1 name, and yes, reach out to your mom, but also to someone else for business. Just rip the Band-Aid off. I'm wearing my bossy pants. This is my challenge for you today. Send the message, make the call, invite them to coffee, follow up. Because your next client probably isn't hiding behind your next Instagram post. They're probably 1 conversation away. And remember how all of this works. That flywheel we want to start generating, that relationship revenue engine that I'm calling it. Content creates visibility. Visibility creates conversations. Conversations create opportunities. Opportunities create clients. Clients create referrals, and referrals create more visibility, and it just keeps going. That's when your marketing starts working for you instead of depending on you. And that's how my relationship revenue engine keeps creating opportunities long after today's conversation ends. So if you want the full relationship revenue engine workbook, with the conversation trackers, the follow-up templates, and your Meet 5, Nurture 5, Invite 1 weekly planner, grab it free at the link in the show notes. And if you're ready to talk about working together, I have elite 1-to-1 coaching spots open. My clients right now are celebrating 5-figure launches and monthly income growth they could never have hit on their own. They tell me that. That's how I know, because we have a conversation about it. See what I did there? So DM me, email me. Let's talk about how to get your business growing in the second half of this year. And if this episode helped you, share it with an entrepreneur who's posting consistently but still wondering where their clients are. And remember, you hear me say this every single week, don't go it alone. Being an entrepreneur is freaking hard. Some days your business feels electric, and other days it feels invisible. If you think you're alone and feeling that way, you are not. I want you to have a great balance of the week and weekend, and I want you to remember that when one of us rises, we all rise. So that is why we have got to keep cheering each other on.